there's no point at all, in dreaming small.
Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're watching this on YouTube or if you're watching this on social media, thank you for clicking on the video. I wanted to talk a bit today about what to do if you're writing a blog as a chronically ill person and how to make an impact and raise awareness. So I have a blog called Lucy's Light, like my YouTube account, although it's now amalgamated into my official website. So now although it's a Lucy's Light blog, it's on the Lucy Watts website, and I've been writing blogs since 2012 to educate, to raise awareness, to share my life, to share what's happening in my life, my work, my goals, and so on and so forth. So my blog has had various purposes over the years. In the early days it was updates and awareness specifically for my conditions. Now it forms mostly a raising awareness of topics and issues, educating people. So my audience can be healthcare professionals, it can be disabled people, it can be people with chronic illness, it can be parents and carers, but equally just the public that have stumbled across my blog. So I have quite a varying readership nowadays, but all of whom have different needs and wants from a blog, and I have to bear that in mind. So when I'm writing my posts, although I have lots of different audiences, so different posts will be targeted to different audiences, I have to really think, what does my audience want? Because after all, your blog, although it's your blog, you know, the blog posts have to serve a purpose for your audience. You're writing them for your audience, you're not writing them for yourself. So you have to think, what do they want? What are they interested in? What do they need from my post? What am I trying to achieve? So you have to really think about the audience and their wants and needs, and also what your goals are for that post when you're writing it, so you can tailor it to that need and that audience. It's also about thinking about what your primary aims and audiences are, and then also considering secondary aims and audiences as well. So, you know, you might be aiming this at other disabled people, for example, but actually you have a secondary aim where perhaps a professional might read your video and that might help another patient. So thinking about the different types of audiences, who's your main audience, but also can you serve the purpose of two audiences at the same time? It's also about thinking about how people will find your blog. You know, there's no good you writing blog posts after blog post after blog post and no one reads it, because that's pointless. You need to think about how you're going to present that to the world and get readership, how you're going to get people to keep coming back. One of the things you have to think about is quality of the content you're producing. You know, make sure your grammar and spelling are okay. There are you know, technologies such as Grammarly that can help you with this, but get someone to proofread your blog before you post it. I mean, I rarely write a blog post now without my mum or someone else proofreading it for me, and often she comes back with commas I've forgotten, or full stops I've forgotten, or words I've spelt wrong, or when you've put is instead of it's, or, you know, so many different things, or when a sentence doesn't make sense. Little things that when you're writing something, you can't always proofread your own work very easily, because you know what you want to say, you know the points you're making. You need some fresh eyes, a fresh eyes approach to that blog, who is reading it as an audience member, who can comment on all the things that perhaps are wrong or could be changed, or sentences that are a little bit long and waffling, as I tend to do. I tend to make my sentences too long, spelling mistakes, grammar mistakes, you know, and even just perhaps you repeated yourself a number of times. There's so many different things that someone with a fresh eyes approach can help you with to make your blog posts the best they can be. Yes, it means you can't just write and post. I mean, you can do that, there's nothing stopping you, but it's just another layer of support to make your content that you put out the best content that you can put out, and it serves the need of the audience. Because I, for one, am someone that I cannot take my mind away from spelling mistakes. So if I read something by someone and they've made spelling and grammar mistakes, I've lost the purpose of their post. All I can think about is the spelling and grammar mistakes, and I don't know why I'm like that. I'm just a bit of a grammar police. I just can't, my mind can't take itself away from spelling and grammar mistakes, which is why I'm so hot on making sure my blog posts are not, you know, spelt wrong, or the grammar is not incorrect, because I just know that if people are like me and they can't distract their brain from those spelling mistakes, and then you've lost the essence of why they read your post. So thinking about that is also very important. Also, I for one sometimes end up using the same words over and over again. Use an online thesaurus to find different words or different ways of saying things. Or if you're trying to say amazing, you've got fabulous, outstanding, incredible. There's so many words you could use instead of amazing. Or if you want to say amazing twice, finding another word to use the second time rather than repeating that word. Even if you just Google the word and then synonym, so amazing synonym, that's what I do quite a lot, and you find out there's so many different words that might say it better or fit the bill a little bit more, or to stop you using the same word over and over again. Expand your vocabulary, think about new ways of saying things. I'm not talking about finding terms, abstract terms that no one uses, but just different ways of saying things that might fit the bill a little bit better. Also, another thing is to do some market research. So if you've got a little following on social media or your friends or family, just put a post on there. If I were to write a blog, what would you want me to write about? And it's interesting the responses you will get. And it's interesting to see how different types of people and different backgrounds of people will affect the type of questions that they ask. And then you can tailor that blog, or that, all your blogs, to kind of fitting those different briefs and thinking about different audiences, because you'll have a very varied amount of people on your Facebook, or at least if you're like me with a lot of followers, you have a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds and statuses and experiences and lives and jobs and careers, and finding out from them what they want to read can be very enlightening, and it can help you tailor your blog to the right audiences at the right time. And also make sure you don't write blog posts that no one's going to read, that you always write blog posts that are going to have the maximum impact and are going to really make a difference. And also the thing to think about as well is awareness doesn't just mean writing about your illness. You need to think about the purpose. There needs to be a point to your blog. You need to have something that people can take away. It can be that they know more about your chronic illness. It can be that they're going to behave differently around disabled people. It could be that they're going to donate to charity. It could be that they're going to think about disability in a different way. There's so many different outcomes you can have for your blogs, but it's important you think about that and you tailor it to that, because just writing post after post moaning about your illness is not going to create awareness. But framing that in such a way where it's educational and informative and inspires and empowers people to behave differently or think differently, that is when you're really going to create awareness with your blog. That's when you're really going to make a difference. It's not saying it, it's just how you say it and how you frame it and what you want the outcomes to be, and making sure your blog serves those purposes. It's also important to think about the structure of your blog. So although blogs typically aren't like books or articles, actually having a structure, having a beginning, a middle and an end can be quite important. And I'm not saying you want once upon a time and the end. It's not about that, or here's my hypothesis and here's my conclusion. It's not about that, but you do need some kind of structure to that blog to just give people an introduction to the blog, a kind of the blurb in the middle, and then some kind of closure at the end of that blog can be really important. And that can be your ask for them to change their behaviour or think differently, or it can be a question to make them think about their own experiences. It can be so many different things, but it just gives some closure to the end of that post. Another thing to think about is we in this chronic illness world are so used to medical terms, medical jargon, surgeries, conditions, diagnoses, tests, procedures, medications. Not everyone reading your blog is going to have that level of knowledge and experience. So if you're going to use medical terms, medical jargon, medical language, you need to explain it. There is nothing worse for a person reading a blog that they don't understand half the terms. They're going to switch off and click away from your blog because they just feel inadequate, that they can't understand what you're talking about. So if you're going to use medical terms, explain it and try to keep it to a minimum so that anyone reading your blog can understand what you're saying and what things mean. Also, another thing to think about is ensure that there is at least one takeaway message for your video. There's something that they're going to learn or gain or think differently or behave differently about from your blog, because this can really help you target what you want the outcomes to be from your blog and make your blog framed around serving that purpose. It's a really powerful way to think about your blog. What do I want someone to think or learn or behave differently about? Another thing to think about is how you're going to drive traffic to your blog. Making sure that your blog posts are self-explanatory in their titles. that you use proper keywords so that when people search for things, your blog will come up when they're talking about they're googling a certain subject, things like that. But it's also about making use of your networks. So sharing with your friends and encouraging them to share with friends. I don't mean post your blog, every blog post in every group you're a part of, because I know for me that makes me switch off. If someone's posted their blog and then I see 7 mutual groups that we're both in and they've posted it in every one, that is inclined to make me switch off, and I know it makes other people switch off. So make clever use of your connections and the groups you're in. Also, some groups say no advertising. You don't want to end up getting kicked out of the group because you've posted your blog in it and they've said no blogs. Or it's about being smart with what you do, being targeted, thinking about aims and outcomes, communities, so on and so forth. It's really important to think about not just the blog that you're writing, but how you're going to publicise it, how are you going to reach the audience you want it to reach. And finally, the other thing is to make sure you post at least fairly regularly. So people like regularity, people like things coming up. And also, if you write one blog post and not again for months, you're not going to drive traffic to your website. People are not going to know about it. So don't set yourself an unrealistic goal. Don't say you're going to post twice a week if that's an unattainable goal. But if you're going to post once a month, that's fine, but just make sure there's some similar regularity between each blog post so that people can get into the routine of reading your blog and knowing when the next one is coming up. And also think about email newsletters so people can leave their email and sign up and subscribe to your website, and then every time you post a blog it sends it to them, so they're encouraged to read it because it's in their email inbox. Think about all the tools and technologies, the people, the networks and the communities you can use. So I hope this has been a useful blog and helped you think differently about blogging as a chronically ill person. I do not have the perfect chronic illness blog. I do not claim to be the expert on all things chronic illness blogging. I don't post regularly enough. I know that. I always fail in that. And my New Year's resolution for 2020, or one of them, is to post more regularly on my blog as well as to post more regularly on my YouTube. So I've got a lot of resolutions that I'm not saying I'm going to post a blog every week, but at least once a month I'll have a blog come out so that people can read my blog and be directed to it, and also I can talk about subjects that matter to me and raise awareness and change people's attitudes to things, educate them, make them more aware and give them insights into my life. So that's one of my resolutions. If you feel like this has been useful, please click the thumbs up below this video. Leave your comments below. Maybe you've got a question, something you want to ask, or maybe there's a tip that you've got that other people might benefit from. Or maybe you've got an experience, or even just post the link to your blog below and I might check it out. So thank you for watching. Please hit the subscribe button and the bell, which is notifications, to make sure that you get notified every time I post a video. And I hope today has been a good or an okay day. Thank you for watching.